Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we talk about 3 or 4 cool tech topics in the news, get you a fun library thing, and send you on your way in about 20 minutes. As always, if there's anything that you would like to see us talk about on the show, you can always reach out to us at creationstation@broward.org. Today, I've got Xiara Acosta from Nova Library. How are you doing, Xiara?
I'm good. How are you?
Life is really good. So, remind people, why are you here for Broward County Library?
So the Nova Southeastern University Library is an affiliation with the Broward County Libraries. We are partnered with Broward County Libraries. So our university library is open, to the public as well as our university students.
Yeah. Remember, notice that for everybody out there, if you don't live in South Florida and you just have a digital card with Broward County, you still get access to a full university library for free.
I didn't get that. Could you try?
You can make that happen. Oh yeah, don't worry. We get all sorts of things. We know how she talks. But so we've got some stories to talk about. So let's go here. We're starting off the new year with an interesting little story of thinking about where are you? You know, it's the beginning of the year, right? Everybody, did you make resolutions, Xiara? Are you that kind of person?
No, I mean I feel like it's the same thing every year. You know, new year, new me.
There you go. Yeah, I'm very much of a goals person, which is, how far am I going to walk this year? How many miles am I going to ride on the bike? That kind of thing. Which is why I like this as a story to start off our year. How far out are we going? How far have we actually gone in the solar system? And some people who pay attention to us probably remember Voyager 1 and 2. Whether you remember it as the actual launch of the satellites or from a movie that featured them or whatever. 45 years, folks. It's been a while. They've been out there. They are way, way out there. Do you remember these, Xiara? In school, when you learned about them in school, maybe?
Maybe. I don't, I don't remember. I feel like the names are very, they're hitting something, but, I think I remember more like the pioneers. Like that sounds more familiar.
Yeah. And Pioneer, and probably because Pioneer was actually launched earlier, but ended earlier also. Yeah. Because Voyager is still out there gathering data, getting it back in. It's super, super slow. It's barely out there, but people can access it still if they needed to. Pioneer's dead. Both Pioneer are dead. New Horizons, which is the one that most people know about because it went by Pluto, gave us those gorgeous pictures. That little heart-shaped Pluto comes from the Horizons spacecraft. You've got to click through and watch these. And as always, all these stories we're going to have the links in the show notes so you can get in there and follow along to see exactly what we're doing about these. You can go in and follow and click through to do this video. It's really cool. It's really a lot of fun.
It was really fun.
Isn't it? And there are other spacecraft out there too, but those are the big ones that are way, way out and gone. I'm looking for my map again. Here it is. So here's the map here that shows you just how far outside of the solar system we actually are now. Voyager is out past, getting almost outside of the actual solar system and venturing out into dead space in between, heading out towards the next stars. So maybe the movies will come true. Do you even know what movie I'm referring to? No. It's okay, Xiara. I have friends who are going to be very, very happy that Bob understood a movie that somebody else didn't. Star Trek 1 actually features Voyager 1.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Again, that's how old I am. So let's find out something that's even older though, and that's the clock. So this clock story. Tell me, Xiara, what did you think when I sent you a story about here's a clock that doesn't have any hands and you can't tell time with it? What did you think?
Okay, so I read through this and I said, that's not a clock. It's not a clock. It's a calendar.
There you go. It's called the Long Now, and it is designed to be a 10,000 year long clock so that it will last and last and last for us, in theory, for future civilizations to go and do this. What do you think about this enterprise idea?
Well, one, like I said, it's not a clock, it's a calendar, because something that doesn't measure a day, but measuring solar and astronomical, that's the lunar and solar year, like the lunar calendar, the
Yep.
solar calendar, that's a calendar. So to me, it's a calendar. So they're building a 10,000 year calendar, I guess. So they're building a calendar, which, I mean, okay, but also why are they spending this much money on something? I mean, it's great
And
for
there
them
you
to be
go.
able to. It's great that they're trying to build something that's going to sustain this long.
Yeah.
That's something that's cool to me. Like, I feel like that's, you should strive to be able to build things that will last this long. But also spending this money on just like a calendar in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and when you go and read this article or listen to the quick podcast that somebody did on this, the idea here is that it's somewhere where it will be stable for that 10,000 years. By the way, 10,000 years, in case you're like, nothing lasts for 10,000 years. How could that possibly be? We are right now at about 10,000 years since humans invented bread. That's how long 10,000 years is. It's like back when we first started baking, that would be like a cycle of this clock,
They're trying to be the
calendar,
coolest thing
whatever we're
since
calling.
bread.
Yeah. Older than bread is a pretty impressive thing.
I mean, like I said, you should strive to make things that last this long. But for this specific thing, I was like, okay. And then they compared themselves to the King of Kings because they said something about the poem Ozymandias.
Ozymandias. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, that's presumptuous.
Yeah, this has got hubris all over it. It's like you said, it's a great thing that humans should be trying to do this. But but wow. And if you're wondering, like, hey, wait, Bob, didn't you talk about this already? Actually, we didn't. It was way back when in episode 56, so almost a year and a half ago. We talked about Future Library, which is a centuries-old library idea where they're planning on mute the site so that I don't have to listen to it on my ear. I know that wasn't coming out on yours end, but I don't want to hear it. Their library is not going to actually be published until another 100 years because they're growing the trees now for that. So this I might fit into your idea of long-term thinking better. Huh, Xiara?
Yeah. I mean, obviously as a librarian, I'm going to be always all for books. Also the fact that they chose Margaret Atwood as their first author, I was like, but now I don't get to read her book. Sad. But this is for everyone. This is for like people to later on in the future. This is for the future of everyone. And it's sustainable. It's, it's using, our Earth's resources and everything like that. But a calendar that not everyone can get to, you have to.
And that is, is my thing with it. It's like, you need to make that like a cultural thing that people will be able to participate in. This is going to be out in inside of a mountain
Yeah,
out
it's in,
western United States so that it's protected and safe. But oh
it takes a
man.
day's hike to get to the mountain, and then you
Yeah.
have to go under the mountain and then come out of the mountain.
Yeah.
I,
It's
it didn't make
excessive.
any
It's
sense.
excessive. Yep. But if you're going to do all that hiking, thank you for that. That's a great segue.
Yeah,
You need to be drinking your water.
you do.
Do you think you're drinking enough water, Sierra?
Always got it on me.
There we go. Yep. I go through several bottles a day. I try to definitely maintain. But this is a really good study. And some people will be looking at this, and at first you're going to be like, sure, Bob, yeah, okay, I'll drink. I drink my 6-8 glasses of water a day, which, by the way, is not a real number. That was just something somebody made up to make it easier for you to remember how much water to drink. But what you really need to do is just drink half your body weight in ounces every day, and you'll be fine. Your body's going to tell you to drink. Drink every time. But did you notice in the article where they kind of like slide it through about, oh, by the way, there's over half the population of the world that doesn't have access to clean water
Yeah,
to drink in the first place. And I'm like, well, yeah, huh? Maybe we should lead with this one.
yeah, yeah.
So
I did see that.
part of it is, I will come back to that in just a second, Sierra. Part of this is things like what's going on in Haiti with the cholera epidemic that's going on down there right now, where virtually the entire country doesn't have safe drinking water. So yes, we all need to drink more water. But the real point of this article I felt that was kind of missed was it's not just about you and me living here in South Florida, but it's about the rest of the world needs access to this water too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's where did I see it? It was like on a global level it said that like a certain percentage, don't drink as much, but it's because like they don't have the access to it. And obviously that is a huge issue.
Yep. And yeah, this article is going with the thing of 91 fluid ounces or 125 fluid ounces in a day for the average person. So, which is not real drinking out of a glass. Remember, everybody, you don't have to try and flood your system and do that because you get a lot of this water just for your natural eating and drinking and doing all of your other stuff. So you don't have to worry about trying to suck in all that through a straw. But all of the stuff of just keeping yourself hydrated, the simplest, healthiest thing. It's the new year. People are going to have their resolutions. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do da. Just drink water. If you just,
that's on a lot of people's goals. Drink more water.
Yeah.
That tends to be a lot of people's goals.
Yeah. And if you can do that, you're going to be healthier. And by the way, this was a long-term study. This was not something that they just did in the last 2 years. 1980, I want to say 87. I want to verify that. It's in my article here.
Data collection began in 1987.
Thank you. So over the long term, multiracial, multicultural study, so that this is not just a Western male thing like far too many studies are. And you definitely get a 64% higher risk of chronic disease, stroke, heart failure, etc., if you are underhydrated. That's a pretty big jump. So go and take it out. 64%. Knock that down. Go drink some water. Think we convinced him, Sierra?
I hope so.
And then go what?
I was saying 64% higher risk.
Yeah. And here's the last one. This is a librarian, teacher, parent topic. This topic here has it all for us. How many times have you had somebody tell you, "Oh, stop looking at the screens," or somebody complaining about all those kids on their phones and paying attention to things and this, that, the other?
too many times.
Yeah. There's been a couple of studies now. Turns out looking at the screen's not the problem. What did you think the problem was before you read the article, Xiara?
Well, I mean, depending what is the problem. I don't know what they think the problem is. I don't agree with it. I think teens on their phones is fine. I've always thought it. I think it's funny because when I was reading this, I thought about a paper I had written in grad school, and my professor thought it was funny because I think only like 3 other students in our class had agreed with me, saying that that ebooks are okay for children to read. Like it's just as good as reading physical books, and I think it's totally fine as long as they're doing it in the right way. Like parents are engaging their little ones with the ebook as well. I find technology great.
Yeah. It's one of those when people talk about it being isolating and everything like that, I tend to share the meme about, yes, look at all these people who are isolating themselves and refusing to talk and instead of looking up from their newspapers. And it's the subway with everyone with their heads buried into a newspaper as they're reading on the train. And yeah, the world hasn't really changed, just where the information is. It's not how, which is the actual point of this story for everybody. I know you're out there wondering, Bob, why are you rambling on about screens and this, that, the other, if you already told us that it's not the screen's problem? It's because how do you get the information? And it's both how do you get to it and what are you consuming? So if you're only consuming, well, I don't know how to, I don't know how to, what would you call it? Harmful, what would you call that? Social media?
Toxic?
Yeah, toxic is a good thing for it. Yeah. I found that it was really hard. What's the worst quote that was in here? Excessive users are ones who are spending more time with family and friends by 21 minutes. For every hour that's on social media, they're spending more time with family and friends by 21 minutes by exchanging things and information, content, chatting, talking live. 21 minutes more with family and friends if you're on a device and you're connected to the internet versus you're on a device and you're only playing a game because you don't have internet at home, or you're only having very limited access to these things. Which is where I was like, they kind of are saying it's bad to read. I'm like, they can't really mean this. It's kind of like, I can see somebody taking this study and saying, see, you shouldn't be reading books. You should be talking to people. I'm like, people have been telling me I was reading too much for a good chunk of my life, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
I just think screen time in general, whether it's reading, whether it's socializing with your friends or family, I think it's fine. I don't think people say it rots your brain. I don't believe in that at all. I think it's a great way, like the article says, it's a great way to socialize. That's how I talk to my family. We have a giant group family chat.
Yeah.
I talk to them every day that way. I talk to all my uncles, my cousins that way. It's one group family, and it's otherwise I wouldn't be able to talk to them as much as I do.
Yeah. And by the way, in case you're like, well, Bob, I've heard all these other studies about how horrible it is out there for kids. Yeah, this is another study that's just like this. And unfortunately, they said, when you take away everything else, fully reviewed paper by everything, the largest single predictor of having lower self-esteem is just being female. Just because of the toxic nature of what's being put out. So what you said, Xiara, watch with your family, be there with your family, take care of it with them, because that's what you need.
Well, yeah, because you also have to take into consideration, like, these teens, everything that's trending on the internet is what's popular. And if they're not connected to the internet, they don't know what's going on, obviously they're going to feel low self-esteem in the sense of like they're not in the loop.
Yeah. That's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
We are going to wrap up here really briefly. I want to show off because you've got something cool coming up there
Oh,
at
yes.
Nova.
So this year's our 8th annual Power Publishing Day. So that's on January 26th, and this is just like a way to share scholarly research. Sorry, including like case studies, and it's just a way to like get to know how to do that. So navigating peer review process, publishing initiatives for open access, everything like that. You do have to register for it. It is either in person or online, but if you come in person, we do have complimentary breakfast and lunch. It's an all-day program as well.
There you go. Come on in, grab a quick breakfast, get some expert advice.
Yeah.
It's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, Miss Xiara. It was great to kick off a new season with you.
That's great.
And for anybody else out there, if there's a favorite library or librarian you'd like to see featured on the show, email us at creationstation@broward.org. We'll see everybody next week. Have a great week, everybody.